Hi, this is Stephen Frew. I want to look a little bit closer now at some basic ideas in scaffolding, one of which is the idea of being a learner and what that has to do with. I do some posting on LinkedIn, and I did a post because it's fun. There's no other, I don't get paid for it, and it's not, thousands of people aren't looking at it, but it's fun. I do one paragraph posts, and I did one recently about metaphor, and I called myself a tugboat. So I had met someone, a woman in line at Albertsons, and we were talking about a lot of things. She was a lively, intelligent, friendly person, and I'm pretty lively too. So we were talking about all kinds of things. We got to relationships, and she said, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm a tugboat. And she said, what do you mean? You're a tugboat. What's that mean? So that's a metaphor, right? There's large container ships with all kinds of needs and experiences, horrendous ones and good ones that kind of come into my office. That's called a client. The client, if you imagine it just for fun, is a large container ship bringing large bulk experiences with their mother, their father, their former husband, their former wife. They bring these slowly. They're in harbor. They're not really navigating very well. There's problems with health, or there's problems with intimacy, or there are problems with money. They're having trouble navigating this history that they bring in relationship to another person. They're having trouble. And so the metaphor of being a tugboat came when I was talking to another therapist, a psychiatrist, about our practice, his practice and my practice. And I was saying that, well, I'm a coach, and what does that mean, Stephen? And I said, well, I don't want to. Sometimes I probably do, but I don't want to. I don't want to be in a position of lecturing people or over-talking them and telling them what to do or how they should do it. I don't think that's the best way to support change and growth, because that really at core is what I'm about. I want to support growth, healthy growth and change relationally, spiritually, even physically in the people that work with me. So I don't want to support a top-down approach or a lecturing or a college professor approach. So if I'm not doing that, what am I doing? Well, I'm a nudger. I nudge people toward their own truth. Now take that sentence and write it down and remember it, because each of us brings to relationship, underneath our various patterns and habits, our limp, you might call it, underneath that, there's a genuine, true, healthy childlike simplicity, innocence, and loving that got somehow derailed as we grew up. Maybe our family was terribly dysfunctional, maybe the culture was, maybe religion was, who knows? But what Sengi said about corporations, he needs to work with learners. It's about the person who says, I want to learn not just some techniques of relationship, but I want to get to the core of myself. Back in the 70s, there were a lot of books for people on self-help books on how to be more effective in bed and how to have better sex. There's sex manuals. And there's a lot of talk about that. There was open marriage and all kinds of things. And so people were trying to get to this, but from a outside themselves point of view. If I learn this technique, maybe my husband will love me or my wife will love me. And that really had a limited shelf life. It really didn't do what people hoped it would do, or what we had to get to, like we do in anything, like we have to do in the country, like we have to do with our children. We have to get to the inside core. And that's where metaphor helps, because metaphor triggers the imagination like teaching doesn't. Metaphor opens up, oh, it's like that. of course, the master of metaphor was that old wise prophet Jesus Christ. And not talking religiously, he really used metaphor for teaching, and he used it well. It's like this. It's like a guy with a bag of seeds. It's like a person out at sea. It's like he was good at metaphor, and he really opened that spiritual conversation in people because he could do that without lecturing them or blaming them or shaming them or giving them an outline. People followed him without really knowing why they followed him. They wanted to be next to him. They wanted to get a sense of that. So if you start thinking of your life as a metaphor, then I think the tugboat metaphor works, because I'm a tugboat. I'm out there, and I lived in the East Coast for most of my growing up years, and we would go down to the Hudson River and watch the tugboats push the big ships around and get them into harbor, get them into safety. So that's one metaphor, being a tugboat. In your marriage or in your athletic development, nudging people, not shaming, blaming, or forcing them. I have another metaphor there. I'm a midwife. The midwife doesn't have the baby. It's not her baby or his baby. The midwife is there to make sure the baby is safely brought into the world. And though they take no responsibility for or no credit for the birth and the safety and health of the baby, they nevertheless are a critical part of that process. So if you look at yourself as having this innocent, simple, childlike being within you that got covered over with other people's agendas and covered over with shaming and blaming and whatever was involved in that, if you look at resurrecting that baby, that child, and bringing her or him into present tense in your partnership, then you can use the metaphor of being a midwife yourself, because you're not trying to change your partner. You're trying to understand and learn and listen and open your own inner, natural, healthy child to the wonderful benefits of a healthy relationship. So scaffolding offers, and the next podcast we'll talk about, offers an idea, more of metaphorical idea. We're going to have fun with that, on how to create, how to rebirth. That's another metaphor. How to see or hear or relate to the intimacy that has been there all along, but has somehow sunk under the level of conscious relating. This is Stephen Frew. We'll talk more about that.